Hey, whoa, was that an intro? Yeah, as this channel develops, expect things to change. Always for the best, I hope. And if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comment section. It would be greatly appreciated. By the way, there's clips of old and new audio that I've used for this, so if things sound a little strange at points, I'm sorry about that. Welcome back to the Lookback at the show Skyland. Speaking of intros and transitions that come out of nowhere,
it's the 23rd century, and the Earth has shattered into millions of inhabitable floating blocks. The blocks are controlled by the Sphere, an evil dictatorship bent on dominating humankind. Among the people are Saiyans, humans with supernatural powers activated by sunlight. My daughter, Lena, a young Saiyan, and her brother, Mahad, have escaped the Sphere and joined fellow rebel pirates in a fight against its oppression. Today, they represent the only hope for freedom. This is their story.
so since this was a premiere that was placed in our block, I guess they just decided to skip the intro in the first episode. And while that doesn't seem so bad, seeing as a lot of shows or pilots skip the intro on the first episode, here's the thing. This show's intro holds actual background information, and as much as it is a given cliche of the monologuing fashion in the beginning to give exposition and information in an intro, it's useful. I'd much rather have it out front in an intro rather than in the show. And I'm not joking, this is actually how it was played. This is how I remember it. And I remember as a kid being very confused at the show before this. I mean, yes, there's suspension of disbelief, but you need to know how the rules of this world work. I mean, you get some of it, such as the sphere of the bad guys and everything, as seen earlier, but information on the Saiyans or the world itself, how it got cracked and blown up, or whatever actually happened, I would really actually like to know that. And I would have probably liked to have known it when I was younger, before the show started. Imagine, if you would, Avatar, but without its intro, although you could probably pick up and understand a lot of what's going on due to context, narrative structure, and dialogue, right? But the intro wraps it up in such a nice way. It tells you that there were multiple nations. Each nation had its own element. Some sort of national war was started with the Fire Nation, and that the Avatar controls all four elements, and is the one that everybody's really hoping to save the day. Jumping in fresh to Skyland, however, just feels messy. I feel like this possibly could have been an editing mistake, but it seems so strange to have it right here, instead of at the beginning of the episode. Anyways, jumping back into the story, and almost immediately we're greeted with Mahad and Lena being shot down out of the sky by the very ship that they're supposed to find. Oh, the irony. However, instead of the pirate ship leaving the kids to die, ending the show right there, this kid convinces the captain to go back and pick them up. Though, being completely honest, I don't know if he should have. Might have been best to leave them there because of this scene. So they plan on sending Mila to prison. Wait, stop. Is that a Borg cube? Their prison looks like a Borg cube? The scene switches back to the kids meeting the crew, and in what is the clunkiest way you could possibly name drop that this person right here is the Vector.
Cheng, please tell your friend the Vector what's going on here. I haven't the patience.
You're the Vector?
Our mother told us we would be safe with you.
From here, the Vector is shown to create and update a map of Skyland that he invented, and gives them the last known correspondence and location of their father. They actually take some of the downtime during the travel in the ship to make some connections of the characters. I actually kind of do like this. And then they try to go and recreate the Titanic. From here, the kids explore what seems to be an abandoned city, and find a hangar. They find the Millennium Falcon. I actually think I might like it better if it's a Cowboy Bebop reference. Rummaging through the glove box, they find a picture of their mom and gasp! Marcus Phoenix! The person that was name-dropped earlier for no reason!
Mom is...
Don't you get it? He's our father!
D1
pops up with a whole bunch of her rust buckets, as she was following the pirate ship the whole time, and decides not only is she going to show her incompetence, but show that she's really going to try to upstage and outclass Some kids. Clap, clap, clap. Turns out that the ship was actually a prototype invented by the Sphere, but Marcus Farrell stole it. She then decides to blow it up, which I find very confusing. This prototype ship is shown to be faster and more maneuverable than the current Sphere ships. My question would be, why not just acquire the ship and then redesign based off of it? I mean, after all, it was a prototype of your own design. I mean, surely the Sphere didn't just build one prototype, put all the data inside the one ship, and then have it stolen. But anyway, she decides to blow up the ship with a cartoony looking bomb. She even rips up a photo of the kid's parents while doing it, as Lena's face indicates she has a headache as she throws a ball of lightning. It misses D1, but knocks the robot that had the bomb off the side of the ship. They have a slight Dragon Ball Z moment and decide to fight in the air, then start jumping platform to platform, but honestly it's less of a fight and more of Lena just getting knocked around. Literally the only way that she actually gets out of it is jumping off the side of a ledge, only surviving because she fell into the ship that Mahad coincidentally got to. Cool shot, but none of those robots had the forethought to see the obvious threat heading their way as it cut down 10 of them. The kids then escape D1 in the ship and meet it back up with the pirates. Transitioning back over to Mila and Oswald, they have a quick little conversation about some prophecy, Lady of Light, he's trying to take over the world, yada yada yada, before locking Mila up in the board cube. The show flips back to the pirate ship and shows the kids flying alongside it, showing that this is merely the beginning to their adventures. And that is the end of the premiere. And that is the end of part 2. And I can kind of see why it was unappealing. This was the premiere of a brand new show, in America at least, and is supposed to give you an ending that makes you want to come back next week. But nothing really grabs me, nothing jumps out at me or makes me want to come back. As a kid, I watched this on and off till around episode 5, and honestly that's about where I leave it off now. It's an interesting little curiosity, a nice little trip into nostalgia, and if you saw the commercials as a kid and you want to watch it now, like I said, it's all free online and you might as well. And who knows, maybe by episode 5 you'll actually really like the show and end up watching it all. But for me, the heavy influence of other sci-fi such as Star Wars, Star Trek, but not feeling to actually have its own identity is quite damning. For a kid's first action sci-fi show, it's not bad, but has been done better. One interesting thing I found while looking around for details on the show is that originally it was actually supposed to be geared more towards adults. This article right here from 2007 goes in more about it, but it's kind of interesting to see how they tried to retool it for a kids show. And honestly, this might be where a lot of the issues come from. More adult sci-fi often has complex issues, while kids shows often have to boil things down to good or bad. I'd honestly be interested if there were any records about the original Skyland before they retooled it. Haven't been able to find any, but if I do, I'll put it up on here. As a closing little bit, I thought it was quite fun to look back on this. As much as I'm joking about it, the show isn't nearly bad, and has some good original ideas. And when it uses those properly, the show lights up in an interesting manner. However, those moments are far and in between, as it often goes back and relies on tropes and cliches to get the ball moving. One last thing before we go. Anybody who actually did watch it might be surprised to find out that the Skyland website is actually still up and running. 12 years after the show ended, and look, it's still here. This feels like a time capsule. Plays all the old music and everything. Anyways, as always, I do appreciate you watching and thank you for making it to the end of the video. For anybody that actually watched the first one, I do appreciate you coming back and seeing the second. As always, like I said, I'll try to improve and make things better. I'm still working on some things, figuring all this out. However, I'm having a vibe for my next look back to maybe be on Get Ed.